Okay, so for today is our goal to work on this RMX 2.5 and yeah, so a couple things I want to change here. So first of all, of course, we need to change the tires because those ones which are here, they are on road, they are definitely not drift tires. So I have some used ones. I don't even know if they are any brand or something because there is no names, nothing. So we will try them out. I don't know as well for what kind of surface they are actually meant to be, but I feel that they are actually much softer than the ones which I had for the Tamiya, which means that they will have much more grip on any type of surface, of course. So we'll see if that works. I'm not sure as well about those wheels, if the wheels will actually work on this chassis here, or they was just put it on, you know, just to be there, because yeah, currently when I'm doing a turn radius it could go even more farther away, but the outer wheel in this case is hitting the shock, and that is why I cannot turn, because otherwise the wheels should go even more on the side. So that's one. Another thing is, so this electronics here which we have, the motor itself, I see it's Easy Run 3652 SL Gen 2 and 5400 kV motor, which is probably coming from some sort of on-road car, and that's good for that reason, but it's definitely not good for a drift. It's also not sensored, so that also takes away that the motor is not as sensitive, you know, as the sensored motor would be, which is much better, of course, for the drifting where you need maximum accuracy out of everything. Also, the radio, 2-channel radio, which comes here is probably garbage as well at some point, and I will just remove it as well. Also, yeah, all the wiring and everything. So currently the car is running on this LiPo here, which I will be using for now, but in the future, of course, I will be upgrading to shorties. Apart from that, I'm not gonna touch anything related to suspension or wheel alignment or anything like that. I just want to get it running, kind of feel how it goes. So that is why as well we will still be using same motor, same radio, everything, and then we will start switching over so I can actually feel the difference, you know, what's gonna be compared with better radio, with better electronics and everything else. So like I explained in a previous video already, I have much better electronics for this car here. So I will be going with that one, and yeah, what I'm noticing as well, that there is a little bit too much play between the motor and the spur gear, so I need to take a look how to adjust that one before we probably even drift it. Have information, you know, how people are recommend to adjust for newbies this one, that you put a paper in between the motor gear and the spur gear, and then that should be the gap. But yeah, nobody later down the road does that, and like I said, I feel that it's way too much than it should be. So probably paper would fit nicely here, but for my liking it's too much, so I will make it a little bit closer. And yeah, that should be it. Then we will get it on a floor and try it out. So to take off wheels we need some tools. I actually needed to buy those tools specifically for my crawler, because that has like screws which I couldn't take otherwise off with any existing tools which I had. So this comes a little bit more standard, so you can use probably pretty much any type of tools you may have. But yeah, for the crawler to take off those wheels, it was interesting. Okay, I'm not sure if those tires are not glued here, because they seems like they are glued, so we'll just crack them off. Okay, so we have change of plans. So those tires are not coming off because they are glued on. So to take them off, it's not gonna be an easy task. So I found that it's best to use like kind of adstone So need to put in a plastic container, sealed one of course, so you don't feel the smells. So those kind of fumes, not the fumes, but the evap from the acetone will pretty much eat off that glue, and then we will be able to easily remove them from the wheels. You don't necessarily need to submerge them in the acetone, so you do not damage anything, so it's just the kind of fumes we need. So that should sit for 1-2 days, you know, needs some time, so I will just put those wheels and tires aside. We will be using those wheels from that chassis. I took it off now. So here, those tires are coming easy off because they just put it on without the glue. Where it's coming to the drift tires itself. So a couple things to note here. So first of all, we can see that we have one side of the drift wheels skimmed, so they can be sometimes symmetrical as well. Sometimes you may have some kind of wording on the outside, so that's how you will identify which is inside and outside. In this case, we do not have any writing at all, nothing, so it's just that one side we have more trimmed and another is more straight. So which will be the outside? The outside most likely will be this trimmed one, because looking at those wheels, they are used of course. And the inside seems that it's very nice. It's not like damaged as much as the outside, which normally of course if you are hitting somewhere on the sides you will be damaging. So that's most likely will be the outside of this wheel. I'm noticing as well that there are some marks from the removal of those wheels. So most likely the previous owner didn't know the trick how to easily remove and install the drift tires. So if you don't know that as well, and yeah, you're just following me, so how this needs to be done? Easy way is pretty much you need to put the tires in a boiling water pretty much and leave them for 40 seconds. Then they will get a little bit softer, you know, probably expand as well. And that way you will easily be able to put them on. So otherwise, if you will be trying to force them just like that in room temperature, you most likely can, you know, damage your hands and the wheels as well. So you do not really need that. Same applies when you are removing. Most likely you will be just putting the wheels and the tires in a kind of hot warm water, you know, most likely hot water you need, and yeah, then they will easily come off as well. So that's what I figured out so far, as you can see. So all this information for me as well is new, so we are learning as we are going. I'll be sharing all this information which I learned myself. Now about the chassis itself, so I put it on those wheels without tires, and when I turn, so this will be now full lock radius of the actual steering on this MST chassis. And what I'm noticing is that even with those tires here, it most likely will be hitting this shock here. So what's actually happening? Is the offset is kind of problem in this situation or what? And then I started to look. I know that MST chassis normally are coming with kind of imitation of this kind of you know, caliper and the brake disc itself, and it's not here. Also, this is kind of stuff white, this is black, so there is some sort of difference. Not sure if any of those are actually original ones or no. But then the second thing which I noticed as well from the original manual from this chassis is that the shock position itself. So you have multiple mounting spots for those shocks, and currently they are sitting quite straight in the front. So what I notice is that the bottom part is kind of in a proper position as it is per manual, but the top part is actually sitting more outside and normally it should be more inboards. So that would be most likely as well the issue why we are hitting the shocks themselves. Why it's putted straight up like this, I have no idea. Maybe they are getting a little bit softer this way. But yeah, what was the actual reason for that, I don't know. So most likely I will be relocating the position back to original one. Same applies for the rear. So in the rear, the top part is in a proper position, but the bottom part is again a little bit more inwards than it should be originally. So on the back, shock should be sitting a little bit wider in the bottom part. So again, I will be just probably relocating that one back to the original stuff. And yeah, then later down the road, of course, when it's gonna be already moving on its own power, you know, then I will start figuring out what are the options better, what is working better, what is affected, you know, when you are moving shocks one or another direction, because there is so much more involved, of course, into this. So those are original kind of plastic shocks. You can buy aluminium, big bore shocks, you know, so they are, of course, will be working probably much better than those cheaper plastic ones. Oils, different oil thicknesses as well going inside the springs itself, different loads, you know, so those as well, they are pretty much adjustable shocks, so we can kind of adjust the spring load on them. But what I'm noticing lately is that most of the guys are actually going for the softer setup instead of having the harder setup on the shocks itself. So yeah, all that information will be coming up. There is also a hole in a chassis has been drilled. Again, I don't know what is the reason behind that, why it was done. Yeah, what else will come up? I probably will go over the manual itself and compare every single kind of things which has been adjusted here. And if it's not gonna perform good, I will be trying to put everything back to the stock positions. And that will be my starting point, you know, from which we will be growing and trying to make this chassis as good as it can be. So that's that. I'm not gonna show you probably how I'm mounting those tires. That is why I explained that already. So I will put that all on, then I will get to the adjustments, and yeah. The end result in this video, like I said, is to get it on a floor and see how it's actually running, or at least try to, you know, make some runs. Okay, so we are back. The car is now completely put together. It's already on. As you can see, the gyro is working, doing its job. The drift tires are finally on. So small side note here. So I saw that some guys are, you know, putting like pretty much in a kettle boiling water, you know, those tires. You don't really need to do that. So all you need is pretty much, you know, boil the water when it's hot, put it in some, I don't know, like dish or whatever it's gonna be, you know, and then just submerge those tires for 30-40 seconds and take them out, so they will be nice and soft. I did also adjust the shocks, so now they are in original position, front and rear. The tires here are still touching just a little bit those shocks in the front, but the reason behind that one, I noticed that the tires which are originally coming with ready to run car, the MST tires are always kind of going on a cone from both of the sides of the tire, where those ones are only from the outside, and then the inside is pretty much flat, you know. And that will be probably that minimal gap which is still touching the shocks, so that would probably explain that one. But like I said, we are still missing those brake discs, you know, so that could be as well a reason why. I will try now out. Keep in mind that this is the first time I actually will try to drive the rear wheel drift car, so I do not expect to be a good driver here, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Feels like I'm almost going too aggressive on this car with throttle, but yeah, I'm trying to do my best, you know. Of course, it's all down to the practice a lot, but like I said, this specific ESC and motor is made for sort of probably busher road car, not for the drift car, so modulation here is not as great as you could probably get out from the proper drift setup, you know. So that's about that. Also this remote is pretty much basic, you know, just a 2-channel Apsima CR2 S version 2 kind of remote. And yeah, not a lot of adjustability as well from the remote perspective itself. Yes, I still can, as you can see, drive very slowly. Gyro itself, it's working. I would probably as well like to test out a little bit more, you know, adding a little bit more or taking a little bit off just to feel the difference. About the tires itself, not sure for what type of surface they are made. They are a little bit more grippier than the ones I had on the Tamiya car, so that I feel for sure. Yeah, but for what surface exactly they are made, I have no idea. Currently I do not have really any other tires to put on to try them out, so that's there. Yeah, so in the next video what we will be doing, we will be changing up electronics like I said before, and most likely as well we will be changing the radio system and see how that all works. So currently the car is driving, it's kind of drifting. Is it any good? It's hard to tell because I myself, like I said, just starting out, so I might be rubbish as well behind the remote controller, so that's there. Is it fun? Oh yes it is. I definitely need more space as well because this area here is way too small for what I need, you know. Actually about the sound of the car as well, so how it sounds I'm not very satisfied, let's say that way, because like I said, this is not really dedicated drift kind of motor. And yeah, what I noticed as well, that the spur gear has been changed. It's not original MST one which came with this car. Why it's changed I have no idea. I just can guess that the original one probably was damaged at some point. Why it was damaged, how it was damaged, if it was like not properly adjusted with the pinion, you know, what happened here, why original electronics was taken out and this one put it in. I understand the difference. This is much quicker, much faster motor. Do we really need for drivability? In a small area, most likely no. The original electronics probably would do. So this definitely setup should go on much bigger kind of area, surface where we are drifting, you know, bigger track. So that's about that. About that, the spur gear has been changed, so it's still the same size as the original one. It's just getting me again a little bit worried about the transmission as well. I never opened it up to look inside, you know, what the condition of the transmission it is. So that's we can leave, you know, at some point if I will be experiencing some issues with that one, so I definitely will take a look. Yeah, if there will be some issues, of course we can always sort them out. Parts are available, so that's not a big deal. Definitely need to put on body on, because when the body will be on, that also will make a little bit difference. I have actually magnetic mounts coming for the body, so I will be doing that stuff a little bit. So that's probably will be in the next video. If no, we will see. But from here, yeah, it's pretty much, you know, just a practice and more practice. Yeah, it seems like I'm fighting currently this car, so there's definitely place to adjust a little bit. You do not want to nicely drift in a bigger circle, or it's maybe just me, you know, more practice. But it's like that. If you know, comment below. And if you like what you saw, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Ciao.